Hey girl, hey, welcome back to my channel. It's your girl Misha. Thank you guys for joining me yet again for another review. Baby, we are back on the wild ride that is the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. If you are new here, then welcome. I give lighthearted reviews with a little bit of laughter and a little bit of shade and a whole lot of detail. If you're back for a second or third time, then welcome back. Y'all, please don't hesitate to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel if you get anything out of the content. Now, child, let's get into it if we're going to get into it. Season 12, Episode 1. When the episode first opens up, we start in black and white, and it's Dorit's home being broken into. So we hear her say, "This is how I thought I was going to die. I thought this was it." 3 days earlier. We see Kyle and Mauricio talking about an invite to Paris, honey, not the actual place Paris, but her niece Paris. And then Rena goes over to visit Erica because, you know, she got some more kissing to do and whatnot. And we see Crystal negotiating food choices with her daughter. In the MIA, Sutton and Garcelle are getting their pampered massages and they're getting their whole entire lives, and Dorit and her babies are in the airport. In the next scene, Kyle and Portia are doing some boxing, and she tells us that Portia is totally different than she was last year. You know, she was going through a bout of panorama blues, okay? We couldn't get out of bed, we couldn't eat, we couldn't sleep, child. It was so much uncertainty. We didn't know what was happening. And for the babies, it was even harder because, you know, they're used to getting up and going and being around friends and, you know, coming into their own. And so Portia was having a little bit of a struggle. But she says that this year she sees something totally different in Portia. After having her bar mitzvah, you know, she saw that glimmer in her eye again and she got a spark back. Well, it's good to see. Moving forward. In Miami, Sutton and Garcelle are in the MIA having a little schnizzak, and neither of them like cheesecake. Child, listen, I am with y'all. I do not like no cheesecake. Like, I know it might be good, but I don't know. I don't know. I think ever since I was a little girl and I heard the word cheese mixed with cake, and it just threw me off. But that's neither here nor there. That's just a side note. So they're there for the Angels of Humanity. And that is a charity that Garcelle is involved with. So Sutton is now single. So she's a new city girl. Baby, Sutton is single. And so Garcelle goes, "We got to find us some men." And Sutton was like, "Yeah." She goes, "Or a man. We can tag team them." I'm like, let me find out y'all dating the same man, honey. Shout out to New York. Because you know Sonia and Ramona, honey, they'll tag team a man in a minute, honey. Luann too. In the next scene, Rena and Erica are having some tea and spilling some tea. And she's telling Erica that Amelia is moving to New York. And you know what? As I'm watching this, it's really funny to see the cliques now that the reunion has passed and the clear divide in the group right now. Like, maybe the dynamics will change, but for right now, you can really see the divide. So Erica reveals that she isn't dating, but she's having the sex. "Okay, Erica." And Rena's like, "Oh, good. You've never done that." She's like, not really. "Child, I know you were doing something outside of Tom, allegedly. You wasn't sitting there letting that thing collect cobwebs. I know that much." So she's like, "You know, I've been married my whole entire adult life." Child, either you and Tom were having the sexuals, or he was giving you permission to have the sexuals with someone else, but the sexuals was being had. You can't tell me you was rolling around and getting into this alter ego and it's expensive to be you and opening up your legs all over Instagram and you wasn't getting nothing. Okay, girl. So they start talking about Rena. And Rena brings up Sutton being on Watch What Happens Live. She's like, "I'm laying in my bed, I'm watching." I'm like, "Ooh, Sutton looks nice." She goes, and then Sutton brings up a charity event she took us to, and she said that I didn't say thank you. Now, when I initially heard this, I was like, okay, child, this must be rich people problems. But then I remembered that Rena made a big deal about Garcelle not saying thank you for some sauce that she already said thank you for, because, you know, she wanted her to grovel at her feet and whatnot. So over in Miami at the hotel, Sutton and Garcelle are talking about the same exact thing. So Garcelle was like, "Well, I thought Sutton was taking up for me. That's what I thought." Yeah, because like I said, last year, Rena made a big fuss about Garcelle not saying thank you for Harry's special sauce. So Sutton said, "Well, you know, if the gift comes from the heart, then you don't need a thank you." No, you don't need one, but it's always nice to have one. But Rena was just looking for a moment. Honey, it's Rena. Okay, every season, she comes with some bullshit. Okay, and this season ain't going to be no different. I can tell she about to get on my nerves already. Girl, if you don't shut up and sit down. Back with Erica and Rena, she's like, "Yeah, I guess she wanted to prove that she's a good friend and that she's loyal. And that you're a hypocrite." That's what she really wanted to prove, that you're a hypocrite. Always expecting things that you don't give. Girl, goodbye. Moving forward. So Rena's like, "You know, I'm just so hurt by that." She's like, "Don't you come for me on national TV. Don't you do it." Here go Erica. She picked the wrong bitch. Child, ain't nobody scared of Rena and her wig. Moving forward. But y'all notice she didn't say, I did say thank you. You know why she didn't say that? Because she didn't. In the next scene, Sutton goes to visit Crystal, and child, they've come a long way from Crystal's ugly leather pants to them having to sit down. So she comes over to see Crystal's unfinished basement, and I'm going to tell you what I told Candy. Crystal, I'm going to tell you what I told Candy. Call Sheree down in Atlanta. She going to get that basement done. Baby, Sheree is the basement whisperer, okay? If she can get it done, anybody can get it done, honey, and got it done on other people's credit cards, allegedly. So Crystal tells us that it's $500,000 for the basement. $500,000. That's how much a mini mansion in Houston costs. Ooh, honey. So they sit down, they start talking about, you know, what Sutton said on Watch What Happens Live, and talking about her dating, and she's giving Crystal her specifications in case she want to hook up. In the next scene, Erica and Garcelle are going to work out together. Child, I wouldn't go nowhere with Erica, but that's just me. So they start working out, and Garcelle, I see y'all working out and whatnot. Sit in that squat a little bit more. Honey, over there looking like squatting with Drew, or dropping it low with Drew, or whatever that's called over there with Drew. But you need to sit in that squat, girl. It's going to get the hips that should be gave. Sit in that squat a little bit. So after their workout, they sit down. Garcelle is catching her up on what's been going on and the dinner that she had in Miami with her sisters and with Sutton. So Erica was like, oh, Sutton was there, right? And she was like, yeah. You know what? I wish they would have shown that scene, because I've never seen Garcelle with her sisters or her family outside of her boys. So I would have liked to see that. Production. We don't always want to see Rena's wig bobbing and Erica talking real low and slow and very aggressive. Like, sometimes we want to see the family aspect of the ladies as well. Like, we've gotten so away from that. Child, can we see that just a little bit? Ooh, honey. Rena, also, girl, what is this wig you got on in this confessional? I don't know, but I don't like it, child. So Garcelle is like, so are you going to apologize to her, Erica? She's like, who? Sutton? No, the milkman. Yes, Sutton. Erica said, for what? Garcelle said, you threatened her. She's like, what did I say? Tell me my exact words. Erica, you know good and well what you said, and you know good and well what you said was threatening. Stop it. So then Garcelle reminds her that she said that she would come for Sutton. She's like, well, that could be anything. I mean, you know, I was backed into a corner. Garcelle, please do not expect Erica to take any accountability, baby. Please leave that woman alone. So Garcelle is letting her know that Sutton was freaked out, and she was like, I would have been freaked out too. So Erica was like, you know, Sutton talks a lot of so if you keep swinging, eventually people are going to swing back. Child, you just mad because Sutton called you out on all your bullshit and your lies, okay, about the car rolling 15 times up a mountain on stilts and all that other kind of stuff you were talking about. So, child, you just mad because she read the article and dissected that thing and got her fancy Drew on, and there you have it. Moving forward. So then Erica was like, and the things that Sutton is saying, they've been disproven. She's like, I'll never get away from the widows and orphans, even though it's not true. She's like, I never had it. It was never in my hands or in my account. Okay, well then where was it, Erica? Huh? Where was it? Erica said the bank trustee said that Erica Girardi never touched the Lion Air money. Girl, why are you speaking about yourself in third person? Oh, child. Garcelle said, oh, okay. When I tell y'all I hollered when she said, oh, okay, because it caught me so off guard, because it was one of those moments where, girl, now who you think you fooling? And you ain't fooling me. Or it was one of those, girl, I know you fucking lying. But in any event, it was given, I ain't buying nothing you selling, child. So Garcelle not buying nothing, and Erica is saying nothing. And Garcelle is like, well, if this is true, why isn't it in the press? This is what she said in her confessional. Honey, probably because it's not, allegedly. So Erica says that the facts are in her favor. So Garcelle said, well, weren't the other girls saying things as well? Because she's like blaming it all on Sutton. She said, yes, but Sutton led the charge. No, ma'am. Sutton was an easy target. The other ones like to kiss your behind. So that's why you didn't say anything to them. So in her confessional, the production asked Erica, how and when have things been disproven? She's like, I don't know. You have to check it out. But I mean, it's been disproven. I mean, I don't know when and I don't know how. And I don't know by who. But I know that what I know, and that's all that I know. Erica, shut up. If you do... Oh, child. It's like Erica get on my nerves, but she is so good for this show because it's just some foolishness, honey. You need a little bit of Erica Jane because this is just comical, honey. Listen, girl, if people were going to go around accusing me of such heinous things, you best believe I'm going to know the time, I'm going to know the place down to the minute and the seconds it was disproven. Okay, I'm going to know all that. And I'm going to make sure that I have the actuals and the factuals and the receipts to flash in these heifers' faces every time I had a confessional. Because you will not play in my face all season long calling me a liar when I'm not one. But the fact that you wanted Bravo to do their due diligence, child, tells me all I need to know. Moving forward. So then the production said, so is it public? Erica said, yeah, duh. Tell them they can go and read it and they can answer their own questions. Erica talks so raw to people. She talks so raw. There is no way that she could engage with me in that manner. Absolutely no way. She know the people to speak to like that. Honey, it couldn't be me. So Garcelle is like, so okay, so it's dismissed. She said, no, but it's just time to smile a little and have some fun. I bet those poor people wish they could smile a little and have some fun. I'm still not buying it. So in the confessional, Garcelle is like, I feel like she's hopeful. And I feel like she's jumping the gun and she's in denial. And honey, is giving delusions of grandeur. So Erica's like, they're saying all these things and they're just not true. Garcelle said, well, I mean, you can sue them, right? She's like, yeah, that's later on down the road. Erica is truly in denial, child. This is a mess. So Garcelle said, okay, well, I won't ask you anything about Tom. Okay, if you want to volunteer some information, that is perfectly fine, but I'm not going to ask you anything about him. So Erica was like, they're legally separated because there are bumps in the road about divorcing an incompetent person. And she's like, you know what? I got bigger fish to fry and I'll get divorced when I can. In the next scene at Dorit's house, the kids are doing karate, okay? And they're practicing. While she's watching, Garcelle FaceTimes in. So they're catching up. Dorit lets us know that, her and Garcelle, they started off on a great foot. But after knowing that Garcelle wants her to say less, that's what she's going to do in their friendship to make it work. So they're talking a little bit and then they get off the phone. Then we see later that night, security footage catches two men in hoodies and gloves breaking in. They break the glass, but they don't enter through the glass that is broken. He peeks in and then we see them inside the house. Dorit said they came in and they put a gun to her head and she thought that's how she was going to die. So she pleaded with them to let her live because her kids need their mom. So then we hear the news reporters reporting the story and the ladies immediately go to her home the next morning. So Rena and Crystal, they're riding around and they getting in the car and they're talking about how terrifying that must have been knowing that her kids were in the other room. And I was just thinking to myself, my stomach would have sank to my feet. When I tell y'all I would have lost it. And I do not know if I would have remained calm. I get hysterical. One thing about me, honey, I can't handle too much. Not too much. I can't handle too much. So if they would have come in with a gun and just the thought of me not being here in the morning when my child would wake up and find me would paralyze me. Like it would have just been too much for me. In the next scene, Sutton goes over to Kyle's house and she's visibly upset because, child, y'all know Kyle gonna have a moment and if she don't do nothing else, child. I don't know if she was thinking about the movie Halloween and she was getting her acting on or what was happening, but she was visibly upset about what had happened to her friend Dorit. And Sutton comes over. Sutton is like, oh, don't make me cry. Oh, my allergies are acting up. I found some cookies in my car. Girl, come on inside, honey. So they sit down. Kyle starts to talk about what happened with Dorit. And Sutton is like, yeah, I've been putting out fires all day long. So Kyle is looking like, girl, say what now? So she starts talking about, her decorator being caught in customs and what is happening. And she's just basically going on about her life, child. So Kyle goes, well, that doesn't seem like a fire. Like what Dorit just went through is a fire. So Sutton is like, well, it is for me and my business. Sutton, really? Now, Dorit is my least, honey, right up there with Erica, my least favorite housewife on this show. But my goodness, like her kids could have been harmed outside of Dorit. Okay, the babies being in the home when this was taking place, that's just seemed too much, honey. Or maybe Sutton knows something that we don't know. Moving forward. She's like, well, yeah, I mean, I wasn't held at gunpoint. Sorry. So Kyle looking at her crazy and wondering why is she acting this way. So Kyle gets in her confessional and she's like, what is wrong with you? Are you that wrapped up in yourself that you're not grasping what happened to our friend? Kyle, cut the crap, okay? Now listen, I have been watching Real Housewives of Beverly Hills since season 1. This is one of my favorite franchises, so I will not miss not one review. And when I tell y'all not one, I mean not one. Kyle, cut it, okay? You have been Sutton before too. Because don't think I forgot the remark that you made after Lisa Vanderpump said that she had been down there after her brother had unalived himself, and you looked directly at her and said, yeah, well, I mean, we all have stuff going on. So all of you are self-absorbed. So I don't want to hear it, honey. You wrong, she wrong, y'all all wrong. Child, Mercury must be in retrograde over in Beverly Hills, child, because I would have to move out of that house. It ain't no way I could stay in that house, and ain't no way I could deal with these heifers right now. It just ain't no way. So in the next scene, Rena and Crystal go to scout a venue for Harry's birthday. And Rena is like, well, I don't really know if I just even want to have it because of everything that's going on with, Dorit. And so Crystal was like, well, why don't you just ask her where she is right now and then just go from there? So they decide on that. Back at Kyle's house, Sutton is talking about dating, and Kyle brings up Erica Jane is, dating as well. She's like, not on a dating app, but people are like hooking her up. So Sutton said, well, I don't need a man for money. So, my specifications are very different than your friends. I'm sure she misses her big house and her fancy cars. And I don't think Erica will ever live that lavish lifestyle again. It ain't happening. Now, unless she marries another Tom, I feel like she's just going to get her a little sex buddy and, it's going to be up and it's going to be stuck. But I don't foresee her being in the same position she was when she was first introduced to us on Housewives. So Kyle starts in with this, well, you know what? When we argue, we say things. Sutton said, no. I know that's right. Yes. No. Stop making excuses for Erica's crappy behavior. She's rude and callous, honey. I don't want to hear nothing about that. Kyle always making some excuses. So here go Kyle. So Kyle is like, okay, so I'm wrong because I should have spoken up for you at Kathy's house, but I am sure that Erica left and cried her eyes out. Kyle, please. Erica did not leave there and cry not nothing. Not a tear the first. There is no way in hell that Erica Jane went home bawling over an argument with Sutton. Absolutely not. So Sutton is like, okay, so you want me to feel sorry for Erica? After how she treated me at that dinner? I know that's right, honey. I have no sympathy for Erica. Child, none. Girl gone. So Kyle is like, well, she puts on this tough B persona because she's hurt. Kyle, you just sat here and said, I'm not defending her, but in the same breath, you defend her. Sounds like defending to me. So I see we're going to be on the same BS this season. So Sutton is like, well, she was mean and she was awful to me and I'm supposed to feel bad because maybe she cried. Go talk to those victims and their families. Okay? They're the ones we should be feeling sorry for. Child, those are the ones crying themselves to sleep at night. But Sutton, I got to bring it back around to you because you're sitting here saying, go talk to the orphans and the widows when you just turned around and didn't feel sorry about this story that Dorit has going on about her being robbed and whatnot. So, honey, all you heifers crazy. Moving forward. Sutton is not with this season. She is not with it. Okay, they will not run over her. And I think that's what she's trying to prove. I'm not going to let you just run over me for the sake of being friends with you in this group. It's not happening. And Kyle, you always trying to take up for the wrong person, honey. Always on the wrong side of wrong. So she said, so I get in trouble, but the men don't. So Kyle is like, oh, you're talking about PK and Mauricio? So Kyle is like, well, she's upset with me too. Like, she doesn't need to feel like her friends are talking behind her back. Y'all all talk behind each other's back, though. All of y'all. So Sutton is like, well, she showed me who she is, and I believe her. Over at Kyle's house, Erica comes over to allow Kyle to kiss her derriere, and it's getting tense, honey, and in walks Mauricio. She's like, you hurt my feelings, as she hugs him real tight. Kyle, while you sitting up there crying and falling out over Dorit's robbery, you need to be watching these women, honey, and how they fill up on Mauricio every chance they get. And don't think I ain't seen it, honey, and they ain't fooling me. Yeah, you forgive Mauricio because he fine. Girl, anyway, he's like, I'm sorry. I would never want to hurt your feelings. She's like, it's okay. And kisses her hand. See, this is exactly what Sutton was talking about. Kyle. So Rena shows up. Then Dorit arrives. Baby, this is the most normal attire I've ever seen Dorit in. Dorit, is that a Hanes Her Way sweatsuit? Child, I'm just trying to lighten the mood, y'all. I'm not taking away from what Dorito has gone through. I'm just trying to lighten the mood, honey. Now, I'm going to say this before I get into it. I am very happy that Dorit and her family are safe and out of harm's way. I am so happy about that. But when I tell you that there is absolutely no way these heifers would have seen me for weeks and months to come, film or no film, honey, you're going to have to come film me in my closet in the fetal position because my nerves will be a wreck. Now, I'm not saying that I don't believe what Dorit said, but I do have a few questions. Okay, now let's get into it. So Kyle said the break-in was last night. This is what she said in her confessional. So, I feel like she should be surrounded with her friends. Child, ain't no way I would be with y'all, honey. Out after getting held at gunpoint? Child, please. So she's like, I feel much better. This is Dorit, dressed in all black like the Omen, okay? In her confessional. She's like, the security is with the kids and my husband's assistant. So I just thought that it would be good to get out of the house. And say, what now? You leave your kids in the home that just got burglarized after that, even though they don't know what happened still. Child, I would be loving on my babies. I would be happy to be alive, to be able to hug them, to be able to love on them. We would be sleeping in the same room, in the same bed, thankful for another day. Child, I know life cannot stop after something like this happens, but it was literally last night. Child, and where's PK? He not back yet? Child, he should have been on the first thing smoking. So Dorit starts recanting the story to Mauricio because he comes in. Child, and as she's recanting the story, child, Mauricio tearing that cheese tray up. Mauricio. I'm convinced he be smoking a doobie so he can get through these scenes with these heifers, honey. I am convinced because she's telling the story and he over there eating cheese, child. So as she's telling the story, Kyle gets all extra emotional because, honey, it cannot be a scene without Kyle making it about her. Kyle, calm down, honey. Oh, child, she breaking down and crying ever so. Just calm it down. So she's telling the story. So what Dorit says is, normally the kids sleep in the bed with her when PK is not in town, right? But she was so jet lagged that she picked the baby up and put them in their bed. This is the first question I have. If I'm jet lagged and I'm so tired, I'm not picking you up and putting you nowhere, honey. Wherever we fall, that's where we sleep. Okay? I'm just saying. She put them in their bed. So then she laid down. She was so happy to be in the bed. She was happy to finally, lay herself down and get some rest. And she hears the door turn. So she's thinking it's the babies coming in. You know how the kids like to do, child. You put them in the bed, they get right back out. So she's thinking it's the babies until she sees a large silhouette of a larger person. One of the people put the gun to her head. She's down in the fetal position. She's begging for her life. And the other guy's yelling, shoot her, just shoot her. And so she's telling them, I'll tell you where everything is. Just please spare me. My babies need their mom. So she's really pleading for her life at this moment. So she says that they're taking her around the home. They got her comforter. They put everything that they were going to put into the comforter. And she tells them, okay, you've gotten a lot of things. So you need to get out before you get in trouble before the police come. So then she asks them to please not take her cell phone. Please leave my cell phone. And they left it. They told her to count to 40 first, and they left her cell phone outside at the gate. So after she tells the story, then the dogs start barking. And Dorita's like, why are they barking? So she starts freaking out, okay? Because now, she just went through a traumatic experience. So for her, those dogs barking, it signifies that something is wrong. Someone is somewhere that they're not supposed to be. So Kyle is like, it's okay. That's normal. I have security. The dogs are barking. It is okay. They do that all the time. So Erica looks at Dorit and she's like, you need to get in therapy. So just then Garcelle shows up. They're all comforting Dorit. And Garcelle gives her this protective crystal and this sage. Honey, she needs the armor of God. Because people are nuts. They're nuts. So child, they sit down for dinner. And then PK calls Kyle on the phone. And I was wondering, why didn't he call Dorit? But anyway, he calls Kyle, and Kyle is like, I just got off the plane, and there are paparazzi everywhere. And so then she's like, come to my house right now. He's like, I'm on my way. So then he arrives. He starts crying into her shoulders, and they embrace each other. Everybody looking crazy. And I did catch that little look that Erica Jane had on her face, like, I know a car rolled 15 times when I see one. But that's neither here nor there. That's just a side note. So they're all looking around, and he's embracing her because this is the first time he's seen her. And she's like, "Oh, I'm so happy you're back, Bubba. I'm so happy you're back." He's like, "It was only 2 days. PK, your wife was just held at gunpoint. I don't care if it was 2 minutes. She's happy that you're back because she feels safe." Now, I'm going to tell y'all something at the end, and I want you to stay to the end because I got an aha moment at the end of this episode, because a lot of people were thinking that Dorit was faking and that this was an insurance scam and it was a plot and a scheme that Todd set up to come at us with the bullshit. But I have another theory, so I just want y'all to listen, okay? So they embrace each other, and Dorit said, PK is strong, but when it comes to matters of the heart, he's not as strong as she is. She's like, "But don't tell him." "Well, honey, you just did. You're in a confessional." Moving forward. So then Rena asks if it's okay to have Harry's birthday, and PK was like, "Yeah, in my religion, we don't cancel a happy occasion for a sad one." So then in walks Mauricio, and he embraces PK, and Dorit embraces Mauricio and kisses him in his armpit. I'm like, "Kyle, and another one. And another one. These heifers is kissing and hugging up on your man, girl." Kyle, you ain't paying attention, child. You are not paying attention. So they get ready to leave, and PK can't find his phone. She goes, why don't you have your phone? You want me to call you? You want me to text you?" And so he goes inside to get the phone, right? Dorit sits down on the bench outside of Kyle's home, and she is breaking down. Do you hear me? She's like, "I'm okay. I'm okay. I'm okay. It's okay." Now listen to me, y'all. And that was the end of the episode. But this is what I have to say about this. First of all, I'm thankful that the babies were unharmed. I'm thankful that Dorit is alive. And this is what I want to say. I have several questions. Never have I encountered a nice robber that will not only leave my phone by the gate, and it only takes them 40 steps in this ginormous house to get to the gate, but they also left the light flashing so that Dorit would know where to come and find her phone. This is what I think may have happened if I wanted to get on the conspiracy side of things. Okay. Now, am I on the conspiracy side of things? I don't know. Not really. But this is what I think. So some things were owed. Okay. Some monies were due to people. And after I saw Dorit break down on that bench, what I was thinking was maybe PK allegedly could have set up everything, and he could have told the people who were going to burglarize the house, "Listen, take things, but do not harm Dorit. Okay? Don't go into my children's room, but take the things so that I could get the money for them." Unbeknownst to Dorit. I do not think Dorit knew anything about what was happening, because PK was, coincidentally out of town. He didn't come back with them, which is strange to me. And then he comes back and he tells Dorit, "I've only been gone for 2 days. Oh, okay. Well, then this 2-day frame, she was robbed, and then filming was happening at the exact same time. And the alarm was not set because you didn't want the kids to trip the alarm by walking around the house at night. But they have a stay feature. So if you have an alarm system, if you need to roam about the house at night, then it's fine. And if the alarm did trip, I'd rather that than me being held at gunpoint." So for me, what I think happened is maybe it was a plot and a scheme that PK set up, allegedly, and he did not let Dorit in on it, because maybe Dorit would have been like, "No, everyone's going to think that, we're scammers and I had something to do with it." He needed an authentic reaction from Dorit. So in order to get that, he didn't tell her, but he did fill them in on what to do and what not to do, because they were walking a little bit too leisurely for me. Okay. Now, if I'm doing something, I'm going to run in and I'm going to run out. Number 2, I'm not going to leave you a flashlight indicating where your phone is. And I'm not going to leave your phone for you to call the people on me. Okay. And also, the neighbors across the street had their lights on, and this happened at 9:50 p.m. How do I know it happened at 9:50 p.m.? I did a little bit of research. Dorit said the police arrived at her home at 4 a.m. But as she recants the story, she says that they came at 11 a.m. to break into the house. At 11 p.m. to break into the home. So why did it take so long for the police to get there? Were they, trying to get the suspects up and down the streets, or what was happening? So my theory is this. The robbery to me seemed like it was real. That emotion and her breaking down, sitting on that bench, that seemed real to me. Now, for the people who think that it's not real, I think that it was PK and he did not feel Dorit in on what was going down. And that reaction that she was having at the end when she was finally back with PK and in his arms and felt like she could breathe a sigh of relief, let me know all I needed to know, honey. That was the way that they were getting the money to pay off that debt, but he needed an authentic reaction because he saw the backlash that Erica Jane was getting last year and last season when the car rolled 15 times and him and Mauricio were sitting around laughing about it. PK is smarter than a 5th grader and he ain't fooling me. And that is the end of the review. Child, y'all let me know down below exactly what you thought about this episode. I am so happy that Dorit is safe. I'm happy that the family is safe. Dorit is not my favorite person, but honey, I don't need no tragedies like that. Like, we have to have empathy for people. And if they lying, best believe it's only one judge. And honey, he gonna make sure that he takes care of it all. Please don't hesitate to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. And as always, stay safe, stay blessed, spread love, not germs. Peace.